I'm now a dirty ASIC miner. All my GPUs are currently turned off. Here's why. Welcome back, everybody. So if you pop into my Hive dashboard right now, you can see that all of my rigs are currently powered down. And that is because I am utilizing all the power at my current facility to test out some Bitmain Antminer S19s before I ship them off to hosting. So yes, I clickbaited you. We will be turning the GPUs back on. They're just currently off so that I can test all the units before I get them sent out. Now, what units did I get and why did I get them? Well, I got units, the S19s from Coastal Crypto. And the reason is because they have a group buy right now, and you can actually have a minimum order quantity of 1 if you like on the S19s. And they are $597.97 per unit and free shipping. I know they say free sipping here, but they're alcoholics. So let's go ahead and give them a break. Love you guys over at Coastal. You can check out the email information down below if you want to email them to get in on this deal. You can't purchase it directly through their website, and I will get an affiliate payout if you do order from them, but this isn't a paid video. And yes, I did purchase these from them. So that's why I'm talking about them in particular. We'll talk about BT miners and some options there as well. And the reason for purchasing these, of course, is to start preparing for the next bull run. Halving cycle, of course, coming up early 2024. The presumed bull run, if we go off previous halvings, would be in 2025, end of 2024 sometime. If you're interested on timing that and seeing what my whole plan is surrounding cryptocurrency mining, you can check out my crypto mining e-course at sonofatech.com. So let's go ahead and get into these miners. I have already added them into Foreman. I will leave a link down to Foreman down below. It's a fantastic piece of management software that does work with the stock firmware of the S19s or any of the Bitmain units. So you don't need to be purchasing any third-party boards like the Xilinx boards or the Epic boards, etc. And you can get them all in there and running. Now we are in Texas, so these max temperatures are running a little bit hot right now. And here's all the 10 units. So far as shipping goes, to give you guys an idea, they did ship them in second-hand party boxes, right? So they weren't in the original S19 boxes, unfortunately. What this does mean is that we did end up having a few units with some damage, mostly just to fans. We had 3 fans that were broken, and then I had a couple dents and bruises on some of the power supplies, but they all did power up and are running quite well after I replaced some fans. You'll notice here that the top one, the S1901, has a fail state. We can monitor that, of course, from our dashboard. You can see here on our hashboard number 1, we have an abnormal chip state on number 39. Coastal Crypto will be helping resolve this as well as shipping the new fans. They are very, very good at that. So one of the things I do like about Coastal is they have a great turnaround time on assisting you with any damaged hardware, etc. So there is that. You can't really get too upset by that, in my humble opinion, just because shipping, you are going to experience damages, and as long as you can get those remedied, I think that everything is good to go there. So that is pretty much what we got online. I did flash all of them to low power mode. You'll notice that those that we talked about were the S19 95 terahash models, and I flashed on the new BIOS, or the new firmware, excuse me, old computer PC IT guy here saying BIOS. I flashed on the new firmware to the hash board and put them all into low power mode. That's just going to be under your settings here, and then you can go ahead and hit that low power mode. Once I went ahead and put them into low power mode, you can see here that even on the one that is not performing fantastic, has a dead chip, we're at about 73 terahash a second, and the meter reading was at 2200 to 2300 watts. It didn't go over 2300 watts, but that's what we were at. And if we take a look at a unit, now it is getting a little hotter out, so the hash rates are coming coming down. That being said, if we look at a unit that's at full performance here, we're at 74 terahash a second, 74.5 terahash a second, essentially at the 2300 watts. So I'm pretty happy with that overall with the low power mode. I will be plugging in an Epic board, which I have in stock, as well as a ZIL Linux board that we can test multiple firmwares on, and we'll see if we can get better performance out of that. Of course, that would be an additional cost, right? You are going to have to purchase additional hash boards if you want to utilize those and get some features like maybe adding them into Hive OS or Brains OS, or utilizing the Epic firmware, which doesn't have a dev fee, which can be definitely advantageous in a lot of different scenarios. So stay tuned to make sure you hit that subscribe button for all that content that is coming in the near future. So at this point, essentially, we have all of these online. We're pretty good to go. I do have them pointed, as you can tell, to NiceHash currently, and that is because NiceHash is the most profitable outside of mining rig rentals, but mining rig rentals is really hit or miss. There are some options in Foreman where you can basically set up mining rig rentals along with setting up the NiceHash, and it'll bounce back and forth between them depending on if your units get rented from rig rentals. So that is another option that I am looking at. I'll let you guys know if I do get that configured, how it works and all of that. It does look like I do have one more failing on S1906, and we'll review that. That is kind of the first time. It is starting to get hot now as it has crossed the noon barrier, of course, and we are getting into that hot part of the day, which is really, I'm going to run these for a week, see what kind of failures we have, get an RMA out if I need to get them out. It looks like it actually just bounced out of the fail state. So that is kind of like where we're at. You can see we're sitting somewhere between 77 degrees and 89 degrees Celsius across these. You do want to try to keep them under 90 degrees Celsius. And because I don't have great ventilation in that farm, that is another reason for running low power mode here. But your profitability does go up as well. So that's something to take into account as far as that's concerned. So once again, this was part of the closeout sale on the S1995 terahashes. If we take a look at the mining profitability right now, it isn't that great, but we did just have a boost in the Bitcoin price. So maybe this will change a little bit. We're at 27,000. We just crossed that today. Pretty killer as far as that's concerned. Now, what we have clocked in here is the stock numbers for the S19. So we have the 95 terahash a second at 3,250 watts. And this is at a 10 cents a kilowatt hour. So as far as that is concerned, we are, in the negative, right? We're losing $1.58 a day on NiceHash, SHA-256. But that doesn't always tell the whole story because, like you guys might be aware, you're going to mine and you're going to try to accumulate to a certain extent right now because we're in the bear market. What I'm doing right now is accumulating cheap hardware. That is my strategy, making sure that that cheap hardware is in operational condition and then get it into hosting. Speaking of hosting, like I said, this will be going to a hosting company, and the rates, depending on how many units you need to have hosted, by the way, is going to be between 7.5 cents and 8.5 cents. So let me know in the comment section below if you're curious on that. You can check out sonofitech.locals.com. I go through actually one of my neighbors who runs a place called Node Love, and they are located across the US in various locations. So you can hit me up if you're interested in that. So at the 10 cents a kilowatt hour, if we crank in the new hash rates, let's go with the 74.5 terahash a second at the 2300 watts. Like I said, it really is under 2300 watts, but just to be fair, calculate that out. We actually do end up in a much better position as far as right now at 10 cents a kilowatt hour, losing about, 64 cents a day. And this is what my current farm rate is. So obviously we'll be testing and then shipping these out. And this is per unit. So, across the board, we're losing like $6 a day. So if we go ahead, and this is for testing, of course. Now, if we go ahead and click in the highest rate for hosting, let's say you're just going to host like 1 unit or something like that, and we go with 80 or 8.5 cents a kilowatt hour, we're finally in the profit at 19 cents a day, which means you can potentially get up to a 5-year contract on these power agreements with hosting companies. And I highly recommend that, because if you get in now, you'll get these contracts at a lower cost. And that's kind of what I'm working on. You sign that out. And if you can even like eke these along to where maybe they're not, killing it, right? You're only making 20 cents a day, but you're prepping yourself for the future. And that is also going to be a contract that includes power. So it's completely possible for you to work something out where you're swapping out units, that sort of thing, for more efficient units down the line if you need it. Really what you're trying to do is lock in your spots in these hosting facilities before they get all filled up, in the case that you actually think that, this Bitcoin mining thing is going to continue. And I'll leave that up to you. Let me know in the comment section below if you think so. So then if we go ahead and look at that, obviously, like I said, we're profitable. And that's really what we're looking at trying to do, is just maintain not really profitability as a whole, but make sure that we can cover the power costs in case we don't have the income to facilitate covering that with external means, right? So the idea here is to accumulate Bitcoin via mining as opposed to via purchasing, but you're kind of still allocating that same amount of income, right? So if you are going to try to accumulate, $10 a day in Bitcoin, you can allocate that $10 a day to power, get yourself in a position where you have some sort of contract for an extended period of time that will run through the next bull market. And then you're in a position where you're still also stacking Bitcoin. This is kind of the whole idea behind it. In theory, of course, as I cover in my crypto mining e-course too, the actual value of these units will go up. By how much? That's yet to be seen. And of course, we would be amiss if we weren't talking about the Antminer S21s, which did just launch, and you might want to take a look at. There is a group buy option over on BT miners, and we will cover that. If you buy the units individually with the S21 at the 2000 terahash a second, which these are incredibly efficient, almost double the efficiency of the S19s, for example, right? You're at 200 terahash a second at 3,500 watts. Not quite double, but almost double the efficiency. You can pick these up on a single basis cost for a shipping in Q1 to Q2 of 2024 for $3,800. And they also, over on BT Miners, which I'll leave a link down for you guys down below, they have a group buy. And this is actually 35% of the cost, just so you're aware. So it is still over 3,000. But if you purchase 6 units, at that price, I believe they were coming out to 3,000 total all-in cost if you purchase 6 or more. So this is another option if you're looking at purchasing and getting into the new Antminer S21s. Of course, you will have to wait. So the problem with these in particular is that you're going to have to purchase them and they won't be deployed right away, as opposed to if you go out right now and purchase some used units, you can get those deployed and start filling up that hosting space. So that's kind of the idea, the pros and cons between both of them. Of course, Bitcoin mining is extremely competitive, and the better energy rates you get, along with the more efficiency that you get, the better off you're going to be. So it's all this like cost benefit type things that you need to do the paperwork on yourself. I've been in the GPU mining field for quite some time, will continue to be, of course. So my strategies all come from that, which is buying used mining hardware because you can get it at a fraction of the price, and then sitting on that and waiting until they're profitable. This is what I talk about a ton. And so that's the strategy that I'm executing. As far as the strategy right now, like I said, the reason why the GPUs are off is because we're testing these units, and I only have 200 amps available, i.e. about 10 Antminer S19s running at full power. Of course, we've brought those down. we'll get those tested over the next week, shipped out, and then good to go. So there you go. That is that. Once again, look at that beautiful Bitcoin chart going back up over 27,000. It'd be nice to see 30,000 again, but we'll just have to sit back, wait and see. I did run the calculations, of course, on what to mine as well. They don't show as profitable as it does on essentially MinerStat. That can be because of where the APIs are pulling from and all of that. But if we went to the 74.5 and then we clocked in that 2300 watts, and then we clocked in that 0.85, which would be a low quantity order for hosting. It does show 18 cents of profitability on Digibyte, interestingly enough, but it does show on Bitcoin a 14 cents loss. What I have noticed when I was running the 104 terahashes, for example, is that through NiceHash, there are some crazy good days, and they seem to make up for it. This is primarily due to, of course, the predatory nature of NiceHash with their new gambling system that I did cover previously, and why I was utilizing NiceHash. Because of that, I ended up even at 10 cents a kilowatt hour with the 104 Ts in low power mode being not profitable, but clearing, right? And that was just at 10 cents a kilowatt hour. You bring that rate down, things start looking a little bit better. The margins are tight. You're not going to be extremely profitable right now. But the thing is, the point is, if you're accumulating now, you can have the potential of being extremely profitable in the future. Remember, these S19s were going for bukus of money. Even the S9 in the past bull run was going for more than the S19s are right now. Remember, they were going for almost $1,000 a pop in the last bull run, and the S19s were already out. The S17s had been out as well, and the S9s were still sitting there at a pretty penny. Whereas, you know, right now we're in that same field of a tenth of the cost for these S19s. Do you get that same tripling or quadrupling of cost of these S19s in the next bull run? It depends, because one of the things that I am curious about is how efficient are we going to get by the next bull run? We have a lot more competitors. We have Avalon coming out with stuff. We have WhatsMiner coming out with stuff. Bitmain coming out with stuff. So it's still way up in the air. The competition obviously is always going to be on that power front. So if you're wanting to lock in those things, that's kind of what I'm looking at, is getting that power kind of sorted. It's the bear market. You sort your power, you sort your locations, hosting if you're going to go with that, building out your own setup if you're going with that, and accumulating the hardware. Of course, there is always the option of just accumulating the hardware and letting it sit and utilizing that as your particular investment vessel. And that can actually be a pretty decent strategy as well, because at the end of the day, with that one, you don't have to worry about as much with the mining income taxes, and you're just flipping units. That's something that you can think about as well. Let me know what you all think about all of this down in the comment section below. I'd like to hear from you. Are you building and accumulating right now? Are you accumulating hardware? Are you accumulating, you know, property to host these at? Or are you accumulating just the cryptocurrency and sitting on it? Let me know what your investment vessels are surrounding cryptocurrency and what you're interested in. Don't forget, you can check out my locals at sonofatech.locals.com to keep up to date with my daily moves, with my mining farms and my crypto investing strategies. And in addition to that, you can get a free month of supporter status on locals with the purchase of my crypto mining e-course at sonofatech.com. I will see you next Tuesday.